All right, so today we are going to help you get ready for that archivist job interview you've been waiting for.
Yeah.
We have got these awesome resources from RoleCatcher. We've got the Archivist Career Guide and the Archivist Interview Guide.
These guides are really fantastic.
They really are. They're super detailed. They're practical. And they've even got
AI tools.
AI tools
Yeah.
that can help tailor your answers to the job you're going for, which is
That's
amazing.
pretty cool stuff.
And they can give you feedback, so very cool.
Oh.
Speaking of cool stuff, RoleCatcher's AI, it can actually analyze job descriptions and be like, hey, you should highlight these skills. So it's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket,
It really is.
which is pretty awesome.
Especially for those behavioral questions. Like, tell me about a time when
Oh, yeah.
when you have to really dig into your experience.
Well, I know those are the worst, right? So let's dive into the Archivist Interview Guide. And let's tackle some of those tough questions.
Yeah.
Head on. First up, what inspired you to pursue a career as an archivist? And the guide suggests focusing on storytelling and genuine passion, not just listing facts.
And I think that's such a crucial point. Hiring managers, they want to see that spark. They want to see your enthusiasm, understand what drives you, what got you interested in this field.
Yeah.
Was it, I don't know, like a fascination with old documents, a desire to like preserve cultural heritage, or
Yeah.
maybe you had a personal experience that really showed you how important archives are. Share that story.
Yeah, I love that. It's about connecting with the interviewer on a personal level. And don't be surprised if they follow up with something like, can you share a specific example of a time when you felt that passion come alive in your work or in your studies?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to be prepared to illustrate that answer with a compelling anecdote. For example, you could talk about a specific project where, you really went above and beyond to preserve this fragile document, or you helped a researcher uncover a hidden gem in the archives.
Ooh, I like that. Those real-world examples really make your passion tangible. Okay, next question. What is your experience with digital preservation? Now we know from the Archivist's Career Guide that this is a rapidly growing area in the field, with technologies like digital imaging, metadata management, and even blockchain coming into play.
And this question is becoming more and more common in interviews, even if you're just starting out. Show that you're aware of the challenges and the opportunities in digital preservation. Have you taken any courses, attended workshops, even experimented with open source archival software? You want to highlight those experiences.
And RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your answer
Oh,
by identifying specific software or methodologies that are mentioned in the job description.
exactly. So if the job posting emphasizes, let's say, cloud-based archival systems, you want to make sure you mention any experience that you have with those platforms.
That's a great point. Okay, let's tackle another one. How do you ensure the accessibility of archival materials to diverse audiences? Now, this question really speaks to the heart of what archivists do. It's all about making information available to everyone.
And it also highlights the importance of cultural sensitivity, understanding the different needs that users might have. Think about, how you would approach outreach, translation, or even the physical layout of archival spaces. How do we make them welcoming and inclusive to everyone?
I'm guessing a potential follow-up question could be, can you describe a time when you had to adapt your approach to meet the specific needs of a particular researcher or community group?
That's a great one. Be ready to share those experiences, showcase that ability to communicate effectively, and tailor your services to those diverse audiences.
Okay, so this next question kind of goes hand in hand with the last one. How do you manage confidentiality and privacy concerns in archival work? And we're talking about sensitive historical documents, personal information. There are ethical and legal considerations everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. And the interview guide's insight section really emphasizes that, interviewers want to see that you understand those sensitivities, that you can balance access with, protecting information responsibly.
So how would you approach this question?
Well, it's important to demonstrate that you have a clear framework in mind. 4, handling confidential materials. Mention things like implementing access restrictions, redacting sensitive information, and of course, adhering to all those legal and ethical guidelines. But don't just list them off. Give examples of how you've applied these principles in the past. Maybe you had to handle a collection with restricted access, or you had to make judgment calls about what information could be shared publicly.
Those real-world examples are so crucial. And I'm thinking about the career stages section.
Yeah.
In the Archivist Career Guide, a senior archivist, they might be the ones developing those policies and procedures, while someone entry level is going to be following them meticulously.
Exactly. Your answer should reflect, the level of responsibility that you're expected to have. And that's where RoleCatcher's AI can come in handy. It can help you tailor your response to match the specific job description. It's like having a secret weapon.
It is. It's like having a cheat sheet. Now, here's a question that's relevant for everyone. Regardless of your experience level, how do you stay up to date with developments in the archival field?
This is your chance to showcase your passion for continuous learning. Mention, conferences that you've attended, professional organizations you're involved with, industry publications that you read. It's a lot to keep up with, but it shows that you're committed to staying on top of your game.
The guide mentions some great resources, like the Society of American Archivists and the American Library Association.
Those are great starting points. And don't forget about online resources like archival, blogs, and webinars. The key is to show that you're actively engaged with the latest trends and technologies.
Maybe you've taken a course on, like, digital preservation, or you've contributed to a blog discussing new archival methods.
Exactly. Highlight any activities that show your initiative and your willingness to learn.
And remember those certifications we talked about earlier, like the Certified Archivist or the Digital Archive Specialist.
Yeah.
Those are excellent ways to show that you're committed to professional development. Right, let's tackle a couple more questions before we move on. First up, what is your experience working with donors and stakeholders?
This question highlights the collaborative nature of archival work. You're often working with people who have, this deep connection to the materials that you're preserving. So strong communication and interpersonal skills are absolutely essential.
So it's not just about the technical skills. It's about building those relationships.
Absolutely. Think about times when you've had to explain these complex archival processes to someone outside the field.
Right.
Or negotiate these delicate situations involving donations or access requests. Those experiences show that you can work effectively with a whole range of stakeholders.
And I bet a common follow-up question could be about a time you had to manage a difficult stakeholder or navigate a challenging donation process.
You're spot on. Be prepared to share those stories and highlight how you resolve those conflicts and maintained positive relationships. It's all about showing your diplomacy and your problem-solving skills.
Okay, last question for this section. How do you manage large-scale digitization projects? This one seems geared towards the more experienced archivists.
It does, but even if you haven't, managed a project single-handedly, you've probably been part of a team effort.
Right.
Right.
So even at an entry level, you could talk about your role in those projects, the skills that you learned, the challenges that you faced.
Absolutely. Describe your contributions, highlight your teamwork abilities, emphasize that willingness to take on new responsibilities.
And don't forget about those project management skills. Thinking about planning, budgeting, quality control, risk assessment.
All those crucial aspects of large-scale projects, regardless of your role. The interviewer wants to see that you understand the complexities involved and that you can contribute to a successful outcome. Speaking of career progression, let's transition to talking about what someone can expect as they gain experience in this field. The Archivist Career Guide, it has this great section called Career Stages. It outlines how you can move up from entry-level to senior roles, and it even includes these sample career profiles, which I think is really helpful.
It's like a roadmap for your archival career. So starting out,
Yeah.
you're probably going to be focused on mastering those fundamentals, getting that hands-on experience with organizing and preserving those precious materials.
Yeah, at the beginning, you're building a foundation. In all the archival principles and best practices, you're also developing those essential skills like interacting with researchers, helping people find the information they need.
And then as you gain experience, you can take on more responsibility, maybe even specialize in a particular area that you're interested in, like digital preservation,
Or
records management, and the Elevating Your Career section of the guide. It highlights the importance of always learning and growing. So it talks about taking advanced courses, pursuing a master's degree, or earning those certifications we discussed. So you're not just stuck in one lane. You can constantly be learning and expanding your skill set. Now, before we wrap up the career aspects, let's touch on a question that often comes up. What are your salary expectations? Now, the Archivist Career Guide provides some really helpful salary ranges based on your experience and location.
Yeah, it's a great resource for understanding, the earning potential in this field. And remember, factors like specialization, industry, and location can all affect your salary.
And RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze job descriptions
Yeah.
and suggest appropriate salary ranges based on the specific role and location. So it kind of takes the guesswork out of those salary negotiations.
It does. It's a fantastic tool for making sure that you're being compensated fairly for your skills and experience.
All right, let's squeeze in a few more interview questions while we're on a roll. Here's one that focuses on problem solving. Tell me about a time you faced a challenging situation at work and how you handled it.
Ooh, this is a classic behavioral question. It's designed to see how you handle difficult situations. Can you think on your feet? The key is to choose an example that really showcases your relevant skills, like problem solving, critical thinking, or communication.
So instead of panicking and being like, well, I've never had a challenging situation, think about a time when you had to overcome an obstacle, resolve a conflict, or maybe even deal with, I don't know, a difficult colleague or patron.
Exactly. And walk the interviewer through your thought process. How did you approach the situation? What steps did you take? What was the outcome? And most importantly, what did you learn?
Yeah, I love that, the emphasis on the learning aspect. It shows that you're not only capable of handling challenges, but you're also committed to personal growth.
Exactly. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI, it can analyze your answer and suggest improvements to make it even stronger. It's like having a feedback loop right there in the app.
Right in your pocket. That's amazing. Okay, here's another question that often throws people off. What are your weaknesses? Now, the Archivist interview guide suggests reframing this as an opportunity to talk about areas where you're actively working to improve.
I think that's a brilliant approach. It shows self-awareness and a commitment to professional development. Choose a weakness that isn't directly related to a core competency for the job. Like, for example, if you're applying for a role that requires strong public speaking skills. Don't say your weakness is public speaking.
Right, that's a great point. Instead, maybe you could talk about something like time management or delegation skills, and then explain how you're actively working to improve in those areas, whether it's through training or workshops, or even just by seeking feedback from your colleagues.
Exactly. The key is to show that you're proactive and you're dedicated to continuous improvement.
Now, let's shift gears a bit with this question. This one really digs into your understanding of the archival field. What are the biggest challenges facing the archival profession today?
Ooh, this is where you can showcase your knowledge and your insights. The Archivist Career Guide touches on some key challenges, like the rapid growth of digital information, the need for sustainable preservation strategies, and that increasing demand for access and diversity in archival collections.
It's a lot to think about. This question really gives you a chance to show that you're not just interested in a job, you're passionate about the future of the profession.
Absolutely. You could talk about, the ethical considerations of digital preservation, the challenges of managing born digital records, or even the role of archivists in addressing issues of social justice and representation in archival collections.
Those are all incredibly important topics.
Don't be afraid to share your own perspective and your ideas on how to tackle those challenges.
It's your chance to really stand out as a thought leader and demonstrate that you're committed to shaping the future of the field. Okay, this next one. This one's a bit of a curveball. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why? Now, this seems like a fun way to gauge your interests and maybe even your sense of humor.
Yeah, it definitely adds a bit of personality to the interview. Choose a figure that's, relevant to your field or whose life and work you find fascinating. Don't be afraid to think outside the box and choose someone unexpected.
Maybe choose like an early pioneer of archival science or a historical figure whose personal archives you'd love to get your hands on.
The key is to articulate why you're drawn to that particular figure and what you hope to learn from them. It's a chance to show off your curiosity and your passion for history.
All right, let's wrap up this question marathon with one final challenge. Do you have any questions for us?
No, this is your opportunity to turn the tables. Show that you're engaged, you're curious, and genuinely interested in the position. This is such an important part of the interview. Don't waste it by just saying, no, I think you've covered everything. You want to prepare a few thoughtful questions that demonstrate your research and interest in the organization.
You could ask about the team's current projects, the organization's approach to digital preservation, or even the opportunities for professional development and growth within that institution.
Those are great examples. It shows that you're thinking beyond the job description and you're considering your long-term career goals.
I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the ins and outs of the archivist profession, tackled some tough interview questions, and even gotten some insider tips on how to use RoleCatcher's AI to really boost your chances of landing that dream job.
We really have. We've delved into the world of archival work and given you the tools to succeed.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to touch on one more crucial aspect, which is networking and building those connections in the archival field.
Yeah, this is something that the Archivist Career Guide emphasizes. In the Elevating Your Career section, networking is so important for staying informed, discovering opportunities, and just building relationships with people who can support you in your journey.
It's like they say, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But in this case, it's kind of both, right?
It is. You know your skills and your knowledge and the foundation, but networking is what helps you build those bridges, open those doors, and get those valuable insights from, more seasoned professionals.
So how can aspiring archivists, how can they start building their network?
There are so many ways. Attend conferences and workshops, join professional organizations like the SAA, connect with archivists on LinkedIn, reach out to people working in institutions that you're interested in.
Those are great suggestions. And don't be afraid to just ask for like an informational interview. Most people are happy to share their experiences and offer advice to those entering the field.
They are. People are generally very welcoming and willing to help. And you never know what connections you might make or opportunities that could come up from those conversations.
Speaking of opportunities, the Archivist Career Guide also mentions the importance of internships and volunteer work.
Those can be so valuable for gaining practical skills, building your resume, and, making those connections that could lead to a job later on.
It's like a test drive. For your archival career, you get to experience the day-to-day and see if it's the right fit for you.
Exactly, and it shows your initiative. Employers are always impressed by candidates who've, gone above and beyond to get that experience.
So I think we've given you a pretty comprehensive toolkit for acing that archivist job interview. We've tackled those tough questions, explored career paths, and even talked about networking.
And don't forget, you've got RoleCatcher in your corner. With its personalized insights and AI-powered feedback, you can really refine your answers and go into that interview with confidence.
It really is like the secret weapon for interview success. So go out there, embrace the challenge, and help us preserve those invaluable pieces of the past.
Happy archiving.
I was just thinking about something else that we kind of skimmed over earlier, which is those certifications, like the Certified Archivist and the Digital Archive Specialist.
Oh, right. Yeah, those are great.
So how important are those, really?
Well, they're not always required, but they can definitely give you a leg up, especially in a competitive job market. They show that you've, taken that extra step to really master those specialized skills and to stay current with the latest best practices.
So it shows you're serious. How about your professional development?
Exactly.
Plus, it gives you those bragging rights. You can put those credentials right on your resume.
Definitely. It makes you stand out.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We've really gone deep into the world of archivist.
It's been a journey.
And we've talked about what it takes to succeed, both in the job and in the interview process. So any final words of wisdom for our aspiring archivists out there?
Well, I would just say, embrace your passion for history, for preservation. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Network, learn, and grow. And most importantly, never stop exploring the fascinating world of archives.
Beautifully said. And remember, everyone, you've got RoleCatcher in your corner, so good luck out there. And happy archiving.